Forward. Okay.
All right. So we had 24 new opportunities to start out June. 15 of them I got booked, so that was pretty good. We kind of
Wow, congrats.
switched up our contact page. So we're trying to get more people to actually schedule consultation calls with me instead of just filling out a contact form or giving me a call and may or may not be able to get in touch with me. So that's helped out tremendously. More
Really?
scheduled calls are coming in, which have definitely been helping our conversion numbers. So we had 16 new clients actually convert to clients last week. So that was good too, and only four marked as lost. So really good week, and hopefully that continues through the rest of the month. And
Most
then as far as
definitely.
headlines, we just hired two new clinicians out in our Lake St. Louis office. So hopefully here in the next few weeks, I should be able to start taking some of those people off the wait list and then kind of get that up and rolling and have more availability for folks out in the west part of St. Louis. So yep, that's pretty much it for me.
Yay. That is great. It's great that you booked so many of those new opportunities, and also that it was a policy change or like a process change that you think led to that.
Yes. Yeah.
Cool. This is really interesting because for all the intake teams I work with, like setting up the CRM, it's kind of like a 40-60 split of how many schedule the first call with the intake with the client care coordinator or how many don't schedule the first call. So it's really interesting that that is working better for you. That's great that you've
Hmm.
identified. Just quick question, do you use Calendly or how do they get the schedule link?
Calendly. Yep. Yep.
Okay. And do you just like, is it on your website now? Or how do they find the link? Do you mail it out,
Yeah,
email it
so
out?
honestly, like we had it on the contact page from the beginning, but the website form was on the left and the Calendly booking was on the right, and we honestly just switched them. Like we flip-flopped them. So um it's that is like all we did. I think what helped was when you're looking on your mobile, that now shows up as the first way to like the first thing on our contact page, and then the website contact form is second. So I think that's why it kind of flipped more um
Yeah.
towards that. So yeah, glad to see it's working.
Sweet. I love that. That makes so much sense. Like it's like you've lasered in on client behavior, like and the way
Hmm.
people interact with the whether they're on their phone or whether they're on a computer, it makes such a big difference for the
Hmm.
results. I love things you can measure like that that also work out well.
Yes,
Cool.
absolutely.
That's a win. Any areas you're stuck or any questions?
uh Not really stuck. We're just kind of I'm phasing out, trying to get ready for maternity leave coming up here next month. And so just kind of
Oh,
getting everything with that ready. But nothing really that we're stuck on, I would say.
okay. Oh, so I didn't know that. So you will be going out on maternity leave. Well,
Yep.
okay. Oh, a big train change in your life. Yay.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's exciting. And also we're gonna have we had an idea to have one theme session of just like training and covering for each other. Like what happens, how does the person who's leaving set up coverage for client care, and then how does the person that's taking over um pick up where that person left off. So that's like a
Hmm.
big theme uh amongst the client care teams that we were thinking about
Yes.
kind of honing in on. Cool, cool. Exciting.
Could I ask a quick
Um,
question about the scheduling
yeah. Oh,
through
please
through
ask away there.
Calendly?
Yeah.
So, I'm interested to know whether through that contact for the appointment that they schedule, if you take their information and put them directly on a clinician's schedule from there, or whether you have to follow
No.
up after that call.
Yeah, we would follow up. It's on my Google, like it's put on my Google Calendar, and then from there I would call them, figure out who's going to be the best match, and then put them on the clinician's calendar from there.
Right. So you take the information and then you call them back to schedule.
Right. Yep.
Great. Thank you.
Yep.
Awesome. I actually was also wondering how long do you leave, what interval of time do you set for that call on the
15
phone?
minutes, and then I
Okay,
put a buffer, around the appointment, so typically it blocks off, half an hour on my calendar.
cool. Got it. All right, good. Think that's great info. Thanks. Who wants to go next? Gloria, you're off mute. Are you ready? Or should
Yeah,
I?
hold on one
Okay.
second. 1 second. I'm on mute. Can you hear me?
No, no, I can hear you. Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah. I'm ready. Let me share it.
All right, go ahead.
All right. Oh, where'd my, there it is. All right. So for last week, we had 15
Great.
intakes that
Newcomer.
came in, yes. And then 7 of those were able to be completed, and 3 of those were converted into clients. So we still have some in the journey. We lost 4 and 1 came off our wait list.
Aha. Okay. When you say 15 came in, do you mean 15 new inquiries or 15 booked, the intakes?
New booked. So
Booked, new booked.
yeah, they were
Great.
all booked. Yeah. So they're still in the journey.
Very good. Okay. That's great. Cool. And can you scroll up? Did you have numbers above? This
Oh,
is the one that I was wondering about.
no, I forgot to do this part. Okay.
That's okay. That's okay.
So
Because when
new
you said 15 new came
opportunities.
in, I was thinking like how many came in? So the
Yeah.
the no worries. The new opportunities are just like anyone that filled out a form or you filled out a form for.
Oh, okay. So any new opportunities.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I on
Okay.
your are you using your cape it's no
So
problem. I just want to make
13.
sure you're clear.
Yeah. So we got 13 new opportunities that came in.
Sweet. Okay.
And then we
13
have
new ones
nothing
came
on
in.
the, and we got nothing on our wait list right now. None of them went on
Mhm.
our wait list. And volume of open journeys. What does that mean?
That one is kind of like your intake caseload. So if you're not on your KPI, that one you have to go away from the KPI dashboard to grab.
Mm, okay.
So don't worry about that. And then
Okay.
intakes booked, that you're getting that from report to CD and practice access, right?
Right.
Intakes booked. Nice.
Yes.
Okay. So those intakes booked, they probably came in like the week
From
before
a
or a
week
little bit,
before, exactly.
something
Exactly.
like that. All
Yes.
right. Okay, good. Great, great,
All
great.
right.
And then what's new at your practice? Status quo or
Um,
anything eventful?
we did I tell you that we did an expo?
No.
No, yeah,
What
no, so
kind of
yeah,
an
it was
expo?
yeah, we did do it last Saturday. It's a wellness expo. So we
Yeah,
set
you
up
said
our
you were
booth.
going to
I did.
that.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah, so that's what we
Yeah.
did.
Okay, what was that? What was it
And then
like?
oh, it was great. It was fun. I did talk about it last meeting, right?
You said you were going to go. Now I remember.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, so yeah, no, it was really, really well. It was really great. Um, but I really want to talk about that we got another therapist on board. So we got a new male therapist coming
Yay.
on board to Blue Oak. So that's really a big deal for us. It's really hard
That's
to snag
great.
up a male therapist, so we got us another male therapist. So already that's 3 for our practice. So we're looking forward to him onboarding and getting started.
Oh, that's great. That yes, they're
Yes.
rare. Rare, few and
Yes.
far between.
Yes, exactly.
Good. So does he have like a good amount of like open availability so you
Yes,
can be
he's gonna
filling
be a
those
Monday through
spots?
Friday. He's a Monday through Friday, and can pretty much treat, low risk, high risk as well, but mostly low risk, which is great because that's usually what the demand is.
What's coming in? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. And did you, when you were at the booth, did you like
Mm-hmm.
talk to potential clients? Was that part of
Yeah,
your,
we did have a mom that approached us and, she had a struggling teenager. So I think that's what I'm seeing now is a lot of teenagers struggling and how to get started, and a lot of them are open to virtual. So that's that was a good conversation alone, just letting them know that they're open to virtual and that they're ready to get started and they want their kids to have it like an easy uh how do you say, like, a easy approach to signing up and getting started and, what it will be like. So I think that
Mhm.
was a good conversation because a lot of these kids, teenagers, that is, they all do have anxiety. So just that alone, they have anxiety and they don't know what else. And a lot of self-diagnosis, so we know that part. But
Yeah.
just to hear that, like, hey, yeah, no, it's common, and they want us, setting up at high schools and schools like that. That how help is and how to get started with to get help.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. And and that's good that you can have those conversations like out in the community face to face because usually you're on
Hmm.
the phone, right?
Hmm. Yes.
Yeah. Cool. It's interesting like the different community engagement that I hear practices do, and like that's just exposure. Going to an expo like that, anyone who's nearby or in the community gets to meet you, kind of feel your vibe of what your practice is like, which is great. And sometimes I haven't heard about that from anyone in Client Care Mastermind yet. Um, I think it depends on your location and whether there is an expo, and the practice owner feels
Yeah.
like there's going to be an ROI there. And I also have heard of other in the Wednesday group, there's someone that whenever things are slow, he goes into the physician's offices and like brings cookies or, reminds them that they're available for referrals and kind of
Yeah.
nurtures those in person. I'm like, all this in-person community engagement is really powerful. It takes a
Hmm.
lot of time away from the phones and your office work, but it's very powerful. Cool. And thank you for sharing that. Any place you're stuck?
Yeah.
I don't remember if I asked you. Any questions or places you're stuck?
No, I not at this time.
Okay, cool.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And how about Matthew and Aisha? How are things going? What updates? And then we also have Aisha. So who wants to go next?
I can
Aisha,
go.
you're off mute. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Let me share the KPIs.
I know you've been working through some streamlining of the billing issues and how that
Actually, over the last week,
impacts.
I think our focus has been more on, we had two clinicians leave, so we've been working
Oh
on
my goodness.
outreaching those clients and seeing if we can get them to stay with the practice and try different clinicians. We did have
Yeah.
to discharge quite a few clients. Like I think at least half of them decided to discharge. So I am curious if anyone's like dealt with that kind of situation and if you have tips on convincing clients to stay with the practice, especially if they've like already been through this before and they just don't want to start over again with a new clinician.
Yeah, that is hard. Um, let's talk through your numbers real quick, and then I want to see if anyone
Mm.
has tips on that.
So yeah, the
So
actual
eight,
intakes through the new opportunities pathway has been limited because we've been focusing on the transfer clients.
right, right.
We
But you
did
had
also,
18 new, I think, right? Sorry, I saw
yeah,
that up there.
18 new.
Okay. Okay.
Yep. And then we
And then
did
one
book
group.
one person from the wait list.
Okay. Yep. So you've got 18 more came in. You're managing, I'm looking above because I'm interested in those numbers at the top too. Like you're
Mhm.
managing about 100 at once, which is a lot that you're
Yeah.
juggling at once. Yeah. And then your focus has not been on like booking brand new intakes because you've had to switch all these people from the clinicians that
Mhm.
left, right?
Yeah. And we also have less availability now to book new
Oh,
intakes. So Dr. W has been putting some folks on the wait list saying that we don't have any therapists with availability who take their insurance. So, yeah.
I see. Yeah. Yeah. No, I think it's good to keep an eye on these numbers because the numbers tell a story of like, what's the priority of the practice, what's going on, and that's where your attention is right now. Yeah. Did you add any to the wait list this week or in the first 7 days? One of
Um,
them was added. That looks
well, we did add more than that, but I guess since the numbers are from like the people who inquired this month, so yeah.
Yes. Yes. You're right. Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, thank you for sharing those. Okay. But this question you asked is really important. So, like Amanda, Gloria, Aisha, any tips on what to kind of say to people to convince them to go with another therapist on your at your practice, or how does that conversation go
Well,
for you?
usually it's pretty smooth when I have to do a therapist transfer. It is usually a smooth transition. It's, you can sense the hesitation in the voice. And just let them know to be open to something that, unfortunately this one is the because we know we are having a therapist leaving our practice. Um, do they want to
Mhm.
stay? And let's just give this therapist a try. They have you know, I don't know. eh, I guess I really never had an issue doing a therapist transfer. They're very pretty much open. Um, the discussions are okay, that's fine. Yeah, let's just try that out. Maybe I will do better. Maybe I've been with this therapist for so long, I'm not trying to see a therapist for another 2 years weekly, but let's just try this therapist. Let's see this approach. Let's see how this goes for me. And he usually goes very well. So it's just
Okay.
I
That's
guess it's
rare.
just the
Like,
yeah, I guess
it
it's just the
depends.
way I say it, and because I've had these relationships with our clients for quite some years now. So I think it's just the trust that we built. And
Mm,
it's unfortunate that that your therapist is leaving. But you might do well with this other therapist. You might, they, right away they're like, oh, I'm gonna have to say everything all over again. I'm gonna have to uh, relive like a certain conversation that I'm gonna have to tell my therapist about. So, I'm not sure how that looks like, but for me, and having those therapist transfers, it always kind of goes well right away when you just tell them like, look, I'm sorry this is
mhm.
happening, but I'm sure you'll do absolutely well with so and so. Okay. And they kind of just trust me
Yeah,
on that
yeah.
part, and then they're doing well.
That's
Hmm.
good for the ones that are willing. Yeah,
Yeah, we
that's
don't
really
really have.
who tells oh,
Uh-huh.
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry about that.
No, I was wondering at CW and also at all of your practices, who tells the client that the therapist is, does the therapist tell the client and
Yes.
then you as the
Yes.
client care coordinator reach out?
Correct.
And then there's always a portion that just wanna follow that therapist, right? Or wanna go somewhere else,
Discharge, or they just want to discharge. They're like,
or
okay,
they
I
still
think
wanna
we're
start.
done. They get graduated. So, yeah, but when it comes to a therapist transfer, I think it's just at the very beginning, that's how important it is to establish a relationship, with your incoming clients at that very moment. Because, if something like this happens, they're really comfortable enough, like, okay, yeah, I trust your opinion. And they decide to go.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
I think one of the challenges we had with these transfers is one of the therapists um, leaving was abrupt. So there was
Mm,
no ability to prepare
Mm.
the clients
yeah,
for the change. And
Oh,
so
wow.
because there was not a transition period, because it was without warning,
Yeah.
it added challenge to
Yeah.
our
That is challenging.
conversations.
that makes yeah, that makes total sense. I hear a lot of disappointment from client care teams that like whenever someone leaves because it is such a challenge to keep the clients engaged at certain points. So I think like especially if if it's abrupt or if they were really attached to that particular client or that particular therapist.
Mhm.
Yeah, well, I'm curious, what about at your practice, Amanda or Aisha? How do those conversations go?
Generally speaking, I don't do a whole lot of client transfers for really established clients. I
Okay.
typically am focusing on like either they haven't met with the clinician yet or they've only met a couple of times, so there really hasn't been that big relationship build just yet. I have done a couple of like the clinician will reach out, say that they're leaving the practice. and then kind of give me notes on whether they want to either transfer to someone else within our practice, follow them, or be discharged. So there have been a couple of conversations with some not older clients, but more established clients moving, and really just I think it's a conversation of it would be easier than trying to find a completely new clinician with another practice because we already have all their paperwork, we have the notes, and everything would just transfer over to this new clinician, and now they have access to everything. And so it's to me, that's how I kind of approach it is it's an easier transition to just move within the practice than to find a completely different practice altogether.
Makes sense. If you have a spot for them, right? Like, do you
Right.
ever have a time where I mean, I can imagine you might have a time where you wanna place this person with someone else, but then there's no appropriate fit therapist or who has open spots, right?
Mhm.
It's almost like all over again, booking a new incoming client. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's great if they already if you can make it smooth and you have a good opportunity and they're already you have a good fit, they're willing to try it. That's the best case scenario. But I
Mhm.
hear that I hear that what Gloria said I hear that very rarely. So that is great news that you have that smooth continuity at your practice. I think it's like a rare and wonderful thing to be able to kind of just guide them to a new place, to a new therapist. Yeah. Thank you. Let's see. Wait, Aisha, there was that challenge, and then also for from CW, I know Matthew is here. How about do you have any updates for us from the past? I bet you do. How's the last week going?
Right, so I think I have a brilliant idea for keeping up to date with billing and also uh the transfer clients. I should clone myself and have a second version. No, but no. Um it
You can just duplicate
just
your energy.
duplicate myself. And however, the issue with that is both of them will still have ADHD. So that I don't that might not be the most efficient use of scientific funding. But but
Oh my goodness. Sounds like you've got a workload over there.
oh certainly. Um I there has been a lot of keeping up that I've been trying to do. So I think I've been doing okay. I think that there is definitely a lot of room for improvement, and I mean, I was happy with even just like, working on the billing things, and then when people returned calls for to do transfers, and I was there, I picked up and I helped them with that quickly, and then was able to return like got them scheduled and all the forms squared away, and then returned to getting caught up essentially. And I've been doing a good job at for my part, making sure that the copays are collected on time. So I've been doing my best
Yeah.
with that. I'm not here every day though. Last week, my hours were a little different because I wasn't here on Wednesday and I was here on Saturday because I was covering for somebody. But that was an experience. I'm not sure if it's something that I'm going to jump to do again, but I was glad to help. So that um, maybe had a little bit of an impact on my energy levels, but I was I mean, I still feel very new, so that's part of it. But I feel like it's like a little better every day, you know. So like I'm pleased with my how I've been able to keep up with the copays for the most part. And so that is one thing that blocking out time at the end of the day has helped with. I want to do more time blocking like we were discussing last week,
Yeah.
but it is going to depend on because I mean the transfer clients were like a sudden thing, and then I had a couple of things that needed like were they're done whenever they're done, right? There's not like a specific block of time that I can just put this in and just only work on it in there. So, and
Sure.
that would, yeah. So I mean, that sounds like a mess. I hope that all that is undigestible beyond my cloning plan. But yeah,
It
I
is.
it's a little more every day, but also something a new challenge every day. So
Yeah. It's yeah. Okay. Besides your cloning plan, it sounds like since last week, like you have separated out the tasks that you could time block with. Um,
yes.
it sounds like you're more energetic and clear on all the tasks you have to do. Not that any of them got less, got to be fewer at all,
If
but
anything, they got more. Yeah.
yeah. Okay. If anything, there's more. Yeah. But the copays is our revenue for the practice, and those have to be charged, right? And so that's bringing in revenue, and I see why that's a priority because those are always there and ongoing. And I did, and then you also mentioned time, just the things like getting back to people, working on a Saturday, and then also the suddenness of the transfer, then all of a sudden that takes priority. And it's your I do hear this from, I see other nodding heads here, the people that have their cameras on, because it's just that's how it is when every month you never know what the new volatile change is going to be, but there seems to always be one, and it's just about like riding the waves of that. Um, and so having a therapist leave abruptly is a huge shocker to this to the whole system. Yeah. But great. I think that you're going with it. And as your team is working every single day, I think the more and more you parse out who's doing what and when, um, like it sounds like the wheels are coming together, even though they're still a little bit disjointed. I don't know if that's how it matters how it feels to you because you're trying to prioritize the clients and it's this thing about being a client care coordinator where you have to have a lot of empathy and emotional intelligence and manage the incoming clients and the current clients, and then you also have to have this very left brain skill of like charge copays and check on billing, which is a taxing switch for everybody. Yeah. I wanted to let you know that I reached out to Dr. W about meeting to talk about how Admira, when you do switch the CRM to Admira, how it can help with the billing management and task management in general, and how the billing issues can be separate from the intake pathway. So I reached out to her to let her know I'm available for that. But I don't know if in the next few weeks anyone on your team wants to do that, even if it's not Dr. W. Stacy, if you want to meet to talk about like intake operations overall, I'm happy to weigh in and help with how that tool might improve
Okay,
the
great.
process.
I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Good. Anything else from Aisha or Matthew that you wanted? I don't know if I cut either of you off on anything. Okay. Um, Great. And Aisha, hello, hello. I know at your practice, I think you work with a lot of kids, I think. Is that right? I'm not sure if,
Family, kid specific. I don't know if I'm quiet. I can't tell
oh,
what's happening.
yeah, now you're close. Now we can hear you better. Yeah.
Okay.
Could you say that
Yeah,
again?
we do more like a family dynamic a lot. So we do see a lot of kids and stuff here, but pretty much everyone. Um but everybody's got their niche. But we do see they try to focus on the whole family, not
On the whole
just
family.
yeah. So we are having a clinician leave that just kind of came up this past week. So that's going to be fun to keep
Hmm.
some of her people here. She has a few that do lens with another clinician, not her specifically, but so a few of them want to stay on, but they can't through insurance because that doesn't cover if she leaves to be able to do it with another one. So we're having to figure out how to either keep them or let them go with her and not be able to have that service anymore, trying to figure
Oh,
out how to make that work. Um, and either convincing them to stay with another therapist to continue their lens, or
leave, and then the transfer of some of her clients that aren't going to be going with her. So we are doing that right now. I luckily am not having to do it. Our director Teresa is going to be handling a lot of that transfer. We're just trying to figure out who's not going and who we can transfer some of those to a couple of the other clinicians if they've got space.
Got it. Yep. Another like I said to CW, this is like very, very common that this tends to keep happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what how have you been? Like I know it's been your first full like 6 weeks with the practice. How
Yeah.
have the last few weeks been going for you?
Going okay. I'm still we were kind of playing around with Admira um yesterday, Teresa and I just trying to get the prompts in order. We haven't had a lot of people contacting us this past week. It was like three. We're trying to beef up
Oh,
our presence, you know, on different platforms to see if we can get more people to contact. I had two just before I came on here, so that's I didn't have anybody yesterday. So we're just trying to figure out since it's summer and we do focus on, you know, like kids and teens and stuff. This they said
mm-hmm.
normally is kind of a low time for people to reach out just because they're in and out of town and that kind of stuff. So from what I've gathered from Teresa, this is kind of a low time for reaching out. And then the clinicians are also going to be in and out of town, and their clients are going to be in and out of town. So it's just going to be like a weird ebb and flow right now. So they're trying to figure out a way to beef up our presence. And I think they have gotten our form live on the website through Admira so that it's coming in through there when I get inquiries and stuff. So that has been working out okay. And yeah, I don't have KPIs yet because we're still trying to figure out when we're going to I think we're starting maybe now so we can kind of see how I'm doing. Like since it's not live there, we're got rid of their
Yeah.
SAS and now we're trying to focus on having everything come through Admira. It's not fully live, but in part it is. So
I
yeah.
that's a lot. Yeah. Like I know you weren't going to focus on KPIs in May at all
Mm,
because you were working on training on the practice and then
hmm.
getting Admira set up. But that's a lot of switch at once.
Yeah.
So you got it. So you just put the form on the site for so they'll go into the CRM, they'll get into it. The clients who inquire through the site will go into Admira.
Hmm.
Yeah. And if it sounds like marketing is a big focus for your practice right now, like getting the
Yes.
word out.
Yeah, so I think that she had spoken with I think her son does a lot of our some of our stuff, but I think they're trying to beef up presence on like Psychology Today and different places just because younger because a therapists do see I think like 4 to 8 is a sweet spot for a few of our clinicians. And then we have some that teens. So we're trying to figure I know she was talking about kind of trying to have more presence to get those types of clients in. But again, it's the summer, so it's like it's gonna be tricky to be like, hey, want to bring your kid to therapy, but you're on vacation. So that's gonna be like a weird
Yeah.
juxtaposition right now. But hopefully we'll see an uptick in the next month or so. But it's probably just gonna be a little bit slow for me for now.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And are you feeling familiar with the practice operations, like the EHR and just kind of the flow of how the practice runs and who the clinicians are? Are you feeling more familiar with
Yeah, I'm
established with
starting
that?
yeah, it's like I'm starting to be able to when I get someone who's has an inquiry after speaking with them, I've been able to feel a little bit more comfortable about being like, oh, maybe this could go for a specific clinician, which I thought at first was going to be more difficult. Do still give it to Teresa to do, but sometimes I will, you know, be like, oh, do you think this will be a good match for this one? Because I am still learning about the insurance and who's on specific ones. We have a lot of associate um, LPCs, and so we've been running
Mm,
into that issue where they don't want an associate level
right.
therapist, and so we've have had a couple where the best person for them was an associate, and they're just gonna miss out, unfortunately, because they were told by their school counselor that they shouldn't have an associate level. So
Oh,
we've
yeah.
had just a few where, and insurance is becoming a big thing just because of Blue Cross Blue Shield is really big here. And we don't accept it here. And so I'm running into that a lot to be able to convince them to still come and see us because of what they can provide here, but they would have to be self-pay. And so if anybody has
Right.
any tips on what to tell people, because intake is $200 to $300, and then them coming each session is anywhere from associate level, I think around 125, 130. It's a lot to pay
Yeah,
out of pocket if you're coming once
it
a week. So I'm trying to figure out if anyone knows a nice way to be like, it's worth it, I promise, but like that's a nice chunk of money to commit to.
it is. That's very challenging. Especially if they have insurance and they want to use their insurance. So yeah, we
Mm-hmm.
need to.
That's the
Yeah,
hardest part.
I think I find myself in your position a few times too, and it's like let me think about it, and then that's just
Right.
kind of like where it ends. So
Yeah, because it's like I am paying all this money into insurance and I get it,
that's the
and you just want to
thing.
use it.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
hard.
Maybe talk to your director. And they can try to get that credentialed with the therapist because it looks
Do
like
you
that's where
guys
you're losing numbers.
Hmm.
oops, sorry.
Yeah, go
Do you
ahead,
Yes,
Becca.
guys
Sorry
do
about
that
that.
super
takes a
bills?
Say again.
Do you guys do super bills or offer super bills?
Yes, they do. I don't do as much on the money side just because I'm still
Hmm.
new and I don't wanna. So um, the Janita, this job on top of her other duties, still takes care of that part. Because right now we have one specific issue where we've got someone who's got two different insurances, and we take one and we don't take the other, and so we're running into the issue because now the mom is upset because she can't bring her child, and it's just like so
Yeah.
I'm not really sure, but yes, I know they have super bills. I don't actually know what that means, but yes, we do that.
Yeah, because I was gonna say that's how I pretty much pitch. So essentially all it is it's kind of like a big statement that they would get. They turn it
Okay.
into their insurance, and sometimes, like depending on their out-of-network benefits, they get reimbursed either all of the session fee, partial, that kind of depends. So that's kind of how I spin it in the
Okay.
sense of like, okay, well, like 90% of insurances do offer some sort of out of network benefits. So that is an option. Of course, it's going to be upfront to start with, but it is a way to go through insurance and still get reimbursed. So it can help with the expenses later on. But yeah, like unfortunately, it is a cost up front, but it can still go through your insurance if they want to turn that super bill in. So that's how I spin it.
Okay.
And it sometimes works, sometimes doesn't, but
That's something else to
Mhm.
have in my
yeah,
arsenal, though. That's good. Have
yeah.
you guys have any experience with Mintea at all? Have you ever used that?
Oh,
It's
I
I
know what you're
get
talking about.
emails from them, but
okay.
I don't really know. We use Thrizer to kind of I can check out of network benefits as well.
Oh,
That's
okay.
what we use. And I'm going to try. And there is a way that clients can set up a profile in Thrizer and then submit their super bill to them,
Okay.
and Thrizer will submit that to insurance. So it kind of eliminates a step, but that's the program that we use.
Huh. Okay.
Perfect.
I put
Okay. Okay.
Mentaya. You use Mentaya, Aisha?
As far as I know, it is something that
Oh,
I offer. So I was just curious, like, if anyone else had any experience with it, because I haven't had
yeah.
anybody that I've given it to say use it. So I was curious if anyone's actually
All right.
had anyone use it. But we do
Okay.
partner with them for Blue Cross, which is what I get a lot of.
Okay. I'm putting those two in the chat. I accidentally
Perfect.
sent it to like private chat, but I meant to put it to the whole chat. There we go. So you have, so you can, I had not heard of Thrizer,
I
but
haven't either.
I'll, I will also put those in our online community, so that you all have those as resources. Yeah. And
Cool.
Yeah, that what you're talking about is a common problem, and it is a challenge, right? It is a challenge to figure out how do we encourage people to sign up anyway, or sign up with this a therapist at your practice. Um, and there's a lot of different objections or reasons why they wouldn't. So the logistics are really important, like knowing about the super bill, or knowing about how out of network is reimbursed. And so if you're looking for tips, there is also I also have another the another idea. We're going to be doing on the 25th, that week of the 25th, 24th, we're going to be doing just a session, rather than our typical meeting format. We're going to be doing a session only on overcoming objections. Um, only and so it's kind of like that. There's a lot of elements to it that are beyond the logistics, though you must know the logistics, like the availability, whether they take the insurance, etc. And how insurances operate. One thing I will say to you is, have you met all the therapists? Like, have you had like a quick meet and greet personally with any of the therapists on your team? I'll tell
Yeah,
you why I'm asking.
for the most part, there's a yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. I pretty much have met with everyone. We just got someone else new, but I think I have a pretty generic grasp about everyone's availability and who they see so
Okay,
far.
cool.
I
Like
think
you've
so.
met them
Yeah, yeah.
like you've had a little chit chat with each therapist personally.
Yeah, once a week before I do this, we have our staff meetings. So there's a couple therapists that don't come in office except for on weekends when I'm not here. And so I've met them on there and communicated phone or email or whatever. So um but yeah, I've been able to get with everyone and just kind of see what they prefer.
Great. Okay, so you have that connection. Yeah,
Mhm.
one very like key like broad principle that applies everywhere across all types of objections, let's say, or encouraging people to give it a try. I always say, like, we're not doing like, you're not doing sales. You're not trying to like close deals and persuade everybody to pay and sign up. It's actually more about, like, if you do believe, and it's good, about the therapist on your team, and you do believe in your heart that these therapists could help the person on the other end of the phone, then um, how can we persuade or encourage the way we would encourage a good friend to do something that we know would really benefit them, right? And one of the ways is to remember what the specific reason is that they told you they are calling. And it might just be, my daughter's having tantrums. So it doesn't have to be like any more specific than that, like exactly what they said, or I'm experiencing grief. um, and then when you deliver the availability and the spot and the particular therapist you would match them with, to remind them, to mention that the reason you're recommending this therapist, the reason you're offering this spot, is because they told you that their kid is experiencing a lot of tantrums, or they mentioned that they're experiencing grief right now. So saying, like, I know you're experiencing grief. I actually have a therapist who is available at this time and this location, this place. I think they'd be a great fit for you. It's like, of course, the logistics are the primary reason they're gonna get on board or not. Like, of course, they have to be available, they have to take the insurance. But if you also sandwich that with that reason they told you earlier about why they're seeking therapy, that can help to encourage them to take that spot, even if it's not ideal. So that's just something I want to dive deeper into practicing. Um, but that's a broad tip. It also, like, it's also the only thing you can really do if someone has insurance and the associate you want to place them with can't take insurance. I would say 90, maybe people on this call would say 99% of the time, but like 90 to 99% of the time, they're not going to go with the associate. They're going to try to call somewhere else where they can get someone who does take their insurance. But the the event that they would is if they were really convinced by you that that associate actually can really specifically serve what they are coming in before, and I think I heard you say earlier, like you felt like, oh, you knew that associate would be a good fit, but they just didn't want to go with them because they were an associate, right? So the only thing you can do, because it's very compelling to not pay out of pocket. Like obviously, if I had, like, none of us would want to pay out of pocket. It's really like not likely that they will, but there is a if there's like 10% more that might say, okay, I'll give the associate a try out of pocket. 80% of the time or 90% of the time they might say, no, I'm going to go find some place with my insurance. But you've done all you can if you give them the information and then you remind them, you did call in because you were saying your daughter is screaming a lot, and I know that this associate really has a background in helping kids who are screaming a lot. Whatever, whatever I'm making something up on the spot. But plugging the words in, the reason in next to the logistics, then you've done all you can. You've done all
The
you
one
can.
for that one specifically, the copay was $0. So like they were paying nothing. So it was just silly that
It
they were
was
just like,
just that it
no,
was an associate. It
that
was
was
just,
it. That was all.
yeah, yeah. And
Like she spoke to
it's,
our director. They did we did everything. We gave all the information about the therapist. We were like, take a look at
mm,
her on the website. We did all the things. Teresa took time and talked to her and called her specifically to try. Nah, didn't work.
oh,
Yeah.
yeah, we can't control what people are going to do. They have their own
Yeah.
reasons for making their own decisions. All we can do is give them all that information, and also maybe talking to you might have already done this, but talking to Teresa about um is it Trauma Center of Houston? How do I say the name of your practice?
Attachment and Trauma Center, Houston.
Attachment and Trauma Center. Like inserting one line of strong value regarding your practice and why your practice is different than any other practice they're going to go to, and using that's all you can do. Like we can't control what the decisions people make, but if we share like why we are distinct from the other practice and we want to help them and lead them to the best fit practice, um, giving the credentials and the distinction of the value of your practice and what Attachment and Trauma Center of Houston has done and the way you approach clients can just help to encourage them, and then they'll make their own decision. Those are my tips broadly. But everyone had
Helpful for
really good
sure.
tips on here.
Yeah, everyone was super helpful. So I was jotting down what you guys are saying because I think about it in the moment and it's just like, oh yeah, duh. Like just pull in what they've said because I think you talked about that kind of the one before when I was in to, using their name and
Mhm.
bring, why they're there, just a little thing, a little nod to like make them realize that we're actually paying attention and um that kind of thing. So that does help because I spoke to a mom who was calling about her 13-year-old daughter and right off the bat she was just like out the gate she wanted a therapy-based therapist and all this stuff and nothing about transgender and all that stuff and I was like whoa 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 where are we going and then the reason she was calling was a friend of the daughter that she was worried about being friends with her and it was like where did we come from here so I kind of just repeated it back to her
Ah,
and was like is this
ah.
the reason why whatever and she kind of like calmed down and stepped back and I was like okay because we were really going a different way at first so I was able to do
Beautiful.
that so that was a cool interaction but and she was really
Great.
you know quick on the process so right now we're just trying to place her with a therapist and stuff so that was one I had got last week so hopefully we place her with someone and can get her started with a therapist.
Yeah. I'm so happy for you that you were able to, in that moment, deploy active listening and just say back to her what she was saying, and and you felt her calm down, and then you were able to move her through the process. Great. I'm so happy for you. That's great use of that strategy. That's very, very cool. Good. Okay. Well, I think this was a really, really great discussion. I love how everyone was weighing in on everyone else's topics and challenges. Thank you all for that. And I think it's like we're gonna dive more into like building that trust, like Gloria was talking about in the beginning. They trust you so much. You and the client care seat are their kind of central hub,
Yeah.
right? And they have to come back to you if like that therapist is not a good fit, and they have to know they can
Mhm.
they can tell you that, you know, that they're a client of the whole practice, not just that one therapist. And actually that's the practice owner and you and your
Mhm.
and the client care position. So I think like building that trust is so important, especially by letting them know you're listening. Great. Well, definitely pop into the community this week. I'm going to put a new challenge up here. I was looking because I know I have a video about overcoming objections and kind of matching what they said to the therapist you have. But anyway, browse through these videos too if you have extra time, Aisha. Um, but also if there's any topic here that speaks to any of you that and you haven't seen these are in the tips and tactics area. But yeah, I will be putting a new challenge up this week, and I'll follow up with Stacy if you ever want to meet to talk about the billing issues and Admira, or Dr. W does. You guys just let me know. But
Absolutely.
great discussion this week, and nice to meet you, Stacy.
Nice to meet you too.
Thank you all for being here. It's very hard what you do, but it's very, very, very good work and very important. So I will see you next Tuesday.
Thank you.
All right, take
Thank
care.
you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Everyone.
Bye, everyone.